What's the difference? Number one, made of and made from. Made of means when the actual physical form of the material used does not change during the process of making an item. And then made from means when the actual physical form of the material used does change during the process of making an item. For examples, chairs are made of wood. My house is made of bricks. Wine is made from grapes. Paper is made from trees. Does not change. And the second point, does change. That's number one. And then number two, what's the difference between like and as? Like, number one, for similarities. Similarities. For example, it looks like a castle. As, to say what something or somebody really is. He works as a doctor. Number two, after feel, look, seem, taste, sound plus noun. It sounds like thunder. Number two, in clauses of manner to mean in the way that. Leave it as it is. Number three, with nouns, pronouns, or the ing form to express similarity or contrast. There is no place like home. There's no place like home. Contrast. Number three, after accept, be noun, class, describe, refer to, regard, use. He is known as one of the greatest musicians. He is known as one of the greatest musicians. That's number two. Number three, what's the difference between perhaps and maybe? Perhaps is used when you say that something could happen, Maybe is used to show that something is possible or may be true. For examples, perhaps he went to the cinema. He may have gone to the cinema, so don't worry about it. Maybe he went to the cinema. There is a possibility that he has gone to the cinema, but it is unlikely. Perhaps I will drink a cup of coffee after lunch. It is possible I haven't decided yet. If I study hard enough, maybe I could get a better mark in my English test. There is a possibility that I will get a better mark, but I doubt it. That's number three. Number four, what's the difference between remember and remind? Remember, this refers to your memory. It's about information that you hold and you store in your memory. Remind causes someone to think of something, to make someone remember something. For example, remember. Do you remember the holiday we had 2 years ago? Yes, I do. Remind, for example, the weather today reminds me of that holiday. That's number four. Number five, what's the difference between inside and within? Inside is used while describing position or location as opposed to outside. It can be used as a preposition, adverb, noun, and adjectives. For example, after the rain started, we went inside the house. within is more formal and is used for non-specific things such as time or space. It can only be used as a preposition and an adverb. For example, they've raised 20,000 euro and the goal is within their reach. So that's number 5. Do you get it? Number 6. What's the difference between enough and too? Enough means comes after adjectives and adverbs, but before nouns. We use it when we have sufficient and it has a positive meaning. For example, this suitcase is big enough for everything I'm taking. Too comes before adjectives and adverbs. We use it when we have more than sufficient, more than, and it has a negative meaning. For example, scientists have worked out that modern music is too loud. That's number 6. Number 7. What's the difference between spatially and especially? Spatially means for a particular reason and it is used with an adjective made from a past participle. For example, specially trained dogs can be life changers for children with autism. Especially means particularly, and it is used at the beginning of a phrase but never at the beginning of a sentence. Phrase and sentence are different. For example, this last winter was especially cold and wet. That's number 7. Number 8. What's the difference between job and work? Job and work. There is no difference when we use job and work as nouns. The work is done. The job is done. We can't use job as a verb. We can only use to work. For example, I have to job today. Not like that. I have to work today. I have to job tomorrow. I have to work tomorrow. That's number 7. Number 9. What's the difference between looks like and seems like? Looks like means the similarity is visible. Seems like means takes into account actions, words, and feelings as well. It looks at the situation as a whole. For example, it looks like as if it is going to rain. It looks like as if it is going to rain. You can see the signs of rain. The sky is darkening. For example of seems like, the heating must be off. It seems cold in here. It feels cold in here. Sign and feels. In some cases, looks like and seems like could be used as synonyms, where they more or less have the same meaning. It seems like fun. It looks like fun. Same meaning. That's number 9. Number 10. What's the difference between mistake and error? Mistake means it's a decision that later turns out to be wrong. You feel that you made a mistake if you are not satisfied with outcome of your decision. Error is a more formal word and it is and it is generally used when the chosen action is compared to a set of rules. The action is considered to be wrong if it is different to the rules. For example, mistake. I made a mistake on my job application. For example, error. There is an error in this report. You have used the wrong word. That's number 10. Number 11. What's the difference between since and for? Since, number 1, refers to a specific point in the past. Number 2, always used with the perfect tense. Number 3, we always go back to the beginning. 4, it's always about specific periods of time, have days, hours, months, etc. Number 2, can be used with other verb tenses including the future. For example, of since. I've known about this job since January. Since January. It's about time. For example, of for. I've known about this job for 6 weeks. Specific point in the past. Specific periods of time. That's number 11. Number 12. What's the difference between older and elder? Older means, number 1, older is the comparative form of the adjective old. Number 1 of elder. Elder is the comparative form of the adjective old. Comparative form, that's same. Number 2, can be used with both things and people. Number 2, can only be used when we are referring to immediate family. Number 3, can be used on its own. Number 3 of elder can only be used with a noun. For example, my brother is older than me. For example of elder, my elder brother is called Peter. That's number 12. Number 13. What's the difference between on time and in time? On time means at the correct or agreed time, not late. In time, early enough to do something or for something. For example, the flight left on time. I got there in time to check in. I'm always on time for work. He arrived in time for dinner. It didn't start on time. I woke up in time to have breakfast. The bus arrived right on time. Hopefully, we arrive in time to find a seat. Please try to be on time. You're just in time for start of the film. That's number 13. Number 14. What's the difference between so and such? So means, number 1, before adjectives that do not have a noun after them and before adverbs. Number 2, with many, much, little, few. Such means, number 1, before an adjective with a noun. Number 2, before a plural noun. Number 3, before an uncountable noun. Number 4, with a lot of. For examples of so, the movie was so disappointing that I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. The movie was such a disappointment, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. That's number 14. Number 15. What's the difference between every day? One word, two words. always used before a noun, meaning each day. Every day, meaning used or seen regularly, ordinary. For example, social media has become part of everyday life. Everyday crime is a serious issue in some cities. These are my everyday shoes. They are very comfortable. I drink coffee every day. I drink coffee every day. Her mom brushes her hair every day. People all over the world check Facebook every day. That's the last number. Thank you. Good job.